When it comes to luxury watches, the most talked about brands are Rolex, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, and Vacheron Constantin. But one brand with significant horological contribution rarely gets mentioned, and that is Breguet. Hey watch fans, this is Nick and you're watching Awristocrat. Breguet is a brand that holds a very special place in horology. Its founder, Abraham Louis Breguet, has been credited with many of the horological inventions from which watchmakers have so much benefited. And yet, it's not a Holy Trinity brand and it's seldomly talked about. So, today, I thought that we take a look at a recent limited edition release, which is very different from what one envisions when the name Breguet is mentioned, and yet it still contains most of the DNA of the brand. I am very excited to share with you the Breguet Type XXI 3815 limited edition to 250 pieces. For those of you not familiar with the brand, Breguet is one of the oldest watchmakers, founded in 1775 and responsible for many horological inventions, most notably the tourbillon. The name Breguet is synonymous with elegance and the ultimate in refinement. Their client list is filled with distinguished patrons of historical importance. The watches are usually made of precious metals and feature slim profile. And yet, the Type 21 is neither one of these. So how did it come about? Well, Breguet as a family has a very interesting history. History that involves not only horological inventions, but innovations in aviation as well. In 1907, the Breguet brothers, Louis Charles Breguet and Jacques Breguet, invented the first gyroplane, which was the first piloted aircraft to make vertical flight and thus making it the first helicopter. They also contributed planes to the French Air Force. Now, to bring it full circle, the predecessor to the Type 21 is the Type 20, which is a military spec commissioned by the French government and were designed with the needs of military pilots in mind. These specs gave birth to the pilot's watch as we know it today, and to the Type 20, which was later made available to civilians. The design of this limited edition is based on the design of its predecessor, the Type 20, with a few differences. The case is made of titanium, and while some prefer to feel the weight of a watch on their wrist, this one, with its 42mm diameter case, practically disappears, and yet sits prominently on your wrist due to its thickness of 15.2mm. The second notable difference is that the Type 21 3815 has a display case back, which is very much appreciated, especially when you have a beautifully decorated Breguet movement inside. And speaking of the movement, we have caliber 584Q, which is essentially a Lemania movement caliber 1340, which was later replaced with the Lemania caliber 5100. The movement is an in-house movement since Lemania is owned by Breguet and the Swatch Group. Retour en vol is an inscription on the dial that means return to flight, or Flyback Chronograph, which is the distinct feature of this watch and movement, and through which, by pressing the return to zero pusher, will cause the totalizer to fly back to zero or return to zero position, and releasing it allows the chronograph to begin running again. Back in time, this feature was used for dead reckoning aerial navigation, as it would allow military pilots to measure flight time between landmarks or changes in heading. Another difference is the dial configuration, which has been simplified by the removal of a subdial at the 6 o'clock position, and also by removing the beveling around the remaining subdials, and yet emboldened with the bright colored numerals. The result is a very easy to read dial with a signature AM/PM indicator at the 3 o'clock position. One thing I find very interesting is that the AM/PM indicator tracks the movement of the sun by showing 12 at the top and 24 at the bottom, which is basically where the sun would be at those times. On the wrist, this watch feels great. I've worn it for several months now and I find it incredibly versatile and appropriate for most occasions. The leather strap is soft and conforms to your wrist quickly. The clasp is designed in a way not seen on most other brands, where one end is shorter than the other to accommodate for the curvature of your wrist. The lightweight of the watch makes you forget that you're wearing one until such time that you glance at it to take a look at the time or just to enjoy the beauty of the sunray brushed dial in that deep black color. Unlike most Breguet watches, the Type 21 supports a thicker profile, and while that may be a concern for some, my experience has been such that the thickness of the case can accommodate most shirt cuffs. Now, during my time with it, one thing became apparent, and that is the power reserve. With so many brands increasing their power reserve to 72 hours, I found the power reserve of 48 hours on the Type 21 slightly inadequate. Where I mostly found it to be an issue is on those 3-day weekends. However, during normal wear, that being I put it on in the morning at the beginning of my day and take it off at night when I'm about to go to sleep, I found the power reserve to be more than sufficient and not at all a concern. Another difference from previous iterations is the colorful dial. More specifically, the numerals on the black dial, which come in two different colors, green and orange. This leads me to my next point. The 250-piece availability is per each color, so you would have a total of 500 pieces. The watch is priced at $14,900 US, and while not inexpensive, the Type 21 line of pilot's watches, in my opinion, are some of the most beautiful pilot's watches that I have seen. From a company whose horological inventions have contributed just as much to watchmaking as their inventions in aviation have contributed to the world of flying, and therefore making it a perfect choice for anyone looking to put the highest quality aviation-themed timepiece on their wrist. Let me know in the comment section below if you like Breguet watches and what your thoughts are on the Type 21 pilot's watches. Well, this is it for now. Thank you for watching. Please support the channel by subscribing and liking this video, and I will see you again soon.